If you've ever tried to break an old habit or start a new one, you know it's not always that easy. But what if the key to lasting change lies in the way your brain is wired? I'm joined now in studio with breathwork practitioner and wellness expert Niki Seberini, who's giving us an understanding of how we can actually rewire the brain to build healthy, lasting habits, one small shift at a time. Now, Niki, I know for everybody, they're like, oh, you know, we're going to do this, we're going to build a habit, it's going to be great, and they get 2 days in and the whole thing falls apart.
Exactly.
Why is it that we are so easily flawed or stopped from building good habits or changing habits?
Well, that's a great question, because we all know what that feels like, to have an idea of where we want to go and what we want to do, and then we just hit that brick wall once the motivation kind of leaves us.
Yes.
And it's because we are wired. These habits that we have are wired over time. So they start off, when you start off with anything, just think about a little baby learning to walk, learning to eat. Think about the first time you learned to brush your teeth, how difficult it was. The amount of concentration it took to do that. And then over time, it becomes something that is unconscious. It is automated. It is ingrained. You have this pathway, this neural pathway that is created. So bearing in mind that the brain is this organ that uses a tremendous amount of energy in order to work. So the brain is very clever. The brain decides, well, let's just automate a whole lot of things, and then we can use that energy on other things. So therefore, we have all of these habits ingrained, patterned. We don't have to think about it. In the beginning, starts off in the prefrontal cortex and then the basal ganglia, so that it's part of that automation. Now we're saying, okay, look, I don't like the way I do X. For example, a habit in the morning, you wake up and the first thing you do is grab your phone.
Yes.
It's a very basic habit. And we love it because we get the dopamine rush, and therefore the cue is there, the routine of looking, and then the reward, we get that dopamine rush. And then every morning, without realizing it, that's what we're doing. So to break that habit takes a tremendous amount of effort. We have to think about the fact that maybe we're doing something that's not good for us. Then we've got to implement it. And now we've got to take this wiring and we've got to create a new neural pathway. And so going all the way back to the beginning, when I said we run out of motivation, it's the reason why 92% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions. It's that motivation. It's reaching that top of that mountain and going, oh, well, I just can't do it anymore.
Yes.
So if we learn to change habits properly, the right way, and break them down, and we really just break it down into step, then it becomes easier.
Okay.
We shift the motivation and we use pleasure and emotion to drive us.
Right. Now, Niki, so you talk about these neural pathways that are built over time as we develop habits, as we are growing up and developing. Now, I understand that to rewire these things, this is a concept called neuroplasticity. So we're basically building new bridges, new pathways in our brain to build those habits. Talk about that process and how that works.
Absolutely. So neuroplasticity is the rewiring of the brain.
Right.
Now, up until not so long ago, people thought that once the brain had developed, that was it. It's kind of like creating dough and putting all of this dough together and knotting it all up and then putting it in the oven, and then you've got this wonderful knotted loaf of bread, and that's it. But that's not how the brain works. We know it's malleable. We talk about the neuroplasticity, so we can rewire the brain. And you've heard that neurons that fire together, wire together. So you've got these neurons, you've got these synapses, and then when you repeat the same action over and over again, it's like a pathway. When you first walk in the long grass, you just see a slight separating of the grass, but if every single day you walk along the exact same path, eventually you have this path. But now you decide you want to take another route. So again, it's challenging. You're going to have to start, and through effort, through awareness, consciousness, repetition, you can create a new path. That path stays there. It'll become overgrown, but you're creating a new path. And you know, B.J. Fogg, who is a psychologist, and he wrote a book on tiny habits, and he is this human behaviorist, and he looks at that. He says that what's more important than repetition is emotion. So using emotion to create those new habits. So that's what we really want to do. We want to be motivated. We want to do it as often as we possibly can, repetition, and we want to have reward. We want to be motivated to do it.
What keeps you motivated? How do you do that? Because it's scary sometimes when it's hard the first 5 times and you think, is it ever going to get easier?
Well, if we knew what could keep us motivated, we'd have all the wealth in the world because we fluctuate with motivation.
Right.
And motivation is a big thing. So the first step is break it down. Big habit. Let's rather break it right down. So starting off with consciousness, I said that before, and awareness, visualizing. Visualizing is so powerful. We know that they've done studies on people visualizing doing something without actually physically doing it, and they create these new neural pathways, and then it happens. So being able to visualize what you want to do, what works for you, what doesn't, doing an inventory on the habits that you have, what is working and what isn't. And let's say you decide on something. So you're now going to break it right down. Perhaps you've decided that you want to create a habit of exercising every single day.
Yes.
Day 1, you're motivated, you go to gym. As you say, day 5, you're thinking, do I really have to go to gym? So instead of making it a full gym workout, break it right down. So let's say you'll say, I'm going to do 2 minutes of gym. And then you're going to think about, when during the day am I going to introduce that habit? And what really works is just understand that we all already have existing habits. So imagine we can take a new habit and stack it on an existing habit.
Right.
So we decide, okay, so in the morning, every single morning I have a cup of coffee. Imagine I spent 2 minutes doing push-ups while making that cup of coffee.
Yes, yes.
So I'm not looking at an hour gym workout. 2 minutes of gym. And I know it sounds silly, and this is taken from this BJ Fogg. It seems so ridiculous, but just those 2 minutes means you've achieved something. It doesn't take motivation because it's easy. You don't have to think about it. 2 minutes is easy. Or maybe just 2 push-ups. Maybe put 2 minutes of push-ups is too much. Let's say 2 push-ups. And then reward yourself. So reward yourself for remembering, I'm making the coffee, I'm remembering to do these 2 push-ups. Then while you're doing it, you're acknowledging that you're doing it. And after you've done it, celebrate.
Yes.
Whatever the celebrate is. Maybe you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, yes, or high five, or a victory sign. So you get the dopamine going, because the dopamine is going to go a long way in creating that new neural pathway.
Okay.
Now imagine for a month, every single day you've done it. You can turn around and say, I work out every single day, because you do. Maybe it's only 2 push-ups. Then you build on that.
Okay, so that's the stacking. You've started with one small thing, now you're going to put another thing on top of it, and then another one.
Absolutely. And you're celebrating it, and you don't need great motivation to do it, because it's easy in the beginning. And then you're celebrating the success. You get it? So you're not climbing the mountain, you're just taking one step, building on it. You look back and you go, wow, look what I've achieved. I've created a new neural pathway.
Lovely. Niki, thank you so much. I think
such
just to get people excited about the fact that they can build a habit and that they don't have to achieve the end goal within the first couple of days, rather stay motivated and reward yourself along the way.
Exactly.
So thank you so much.
Oh, such a pleasure.
Great.